I want you to think about the last time that you stood in front of a mirror and said something like, I love myself, or I am confident, or I am worthy. And I want you to be honest with me right now. Did it feel true? Or did something inside you kind of flinch a little? Like your brain was looking back at you saying, yeah, okay, you do. Sure, you do. If that's ever happened to you, you're not alone. And here's the thing, you weren't doing it wrong because you're broken or because affirmations are just some feel good nonsense that doesn't do anything and doesn't work. You were doing it wrong because nobody ever told you the one thing that actually makes affirmations work. And today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Welcome back to the Bold Life Suite. I'm Joanne, and if you're new here, this channel is all about real conversations and showing up for yourself even when it's uncomfortable. So let's get into it. Here's what I want to start with. Affirmations have been around for a long, long time, like a very long time. But in the last decade or so, they've had this massive mainstream movement, vision boards, morning routines, manifestation culture, all of it. And with that came a lot of people trying affirmations and then quietly giving up on them because they didn't feel like they were actually doing anything. They weren't working. And honestly, I've been there too. But here's what changed things for me. I stopped thinking about affirmations as something I was supposed to believe and started thinking about them as something I was training myself toward. And it turns out that science actually backs that up. So let me walk you through what research actually says, because I think it's going to reframe this whole conversation for you. There was research done using fMRI brain scans, so actual imaging of the brain while people were doing the self affirmation work. And what they found was that affirmations activate a specific part of the brain called the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. That's part of your brain that handles your sense of self, your values, how you process things that feel rewarding. When you affirm something about yourself, that part of the brain lights up. So you're literally engaging the part of the brain that is responsible for how you see yourself. That's not nothing. That's your brain paying attention. And there's more. Studies have found that people who actually practice affirmations regularly, they show reduced levels of cortisol. That's the stress hormone. High cortisol is connected to all kinds of things that we don't want, like sleep problems, weight gain, anxiety, heart issues. So when we talk about affirmations and well-being, we're not just talking about feeling good in the moment. We're talking about actual measurable changes in how your body handles stress. One study that I found really interesting looked at self-esteem and well-being and found statistically significant improvements in people who practiced affirmations consistently. And there's a whole body of research around what's called self-affirmation theory, which was introduced by a social psychologist in the 1980s. The core idea is that affirming your core values and sense of worth helps you stay resilient when life challenges that sense of worth, which, let's be real, life does constantly. So the science is real. Affirmations work. But here's where we need to have the honest conversation. They don't work the same way for everyone. And the reason why is actually very simple once you understand it. There was a study, and this one stuck with me, where they found that for certain people, repeating an affirmation like, I love myself, didn't help their self esteem. It actually made them feel worse. And the reason is this: if there is too big of a gap between where you are and what you're saying, your brain just doesn't accept it. Your brain knows you. It's been with you this whole time. And when you tell it something that feels completely disconnected from your current reality, it pushes back hard. Think about it this way. If someone's deeply in debt and they stand in front of a mirror every morning saying, I am wealthy, something in them is going to feel the friction of that. Not because they can't get there, but because their nervous system doesn't believe the distance has been closed yet. The statement is just too far from where they're standing. And this is the mistake I made for a long, long time. I was saying the words, but I was feeling the gap. And that gap was doing more damage than good. So what do you do instead? This is the part that actually changed things for me. And I think it's going to land for you too. You close the gap, not by lowering the goal, but by meeting yourself where you are and building from there. Instead of, I love myself, what if you said, I am learning to love myself more every day? Instead of, I am confident, what if you said, I am becoming someone who trusts herself? Instead of I am worthy, what if you said, I am starting to see my own worth more clearly? Do you hear the difference there? The destination is the same. You're still moving toward love, confidence, and worth, but the affirmation is honest about the journey. It's not asking your brain to leap over a canyon. It's asking your brain to take one step forward, and that your brain can do. There's actually a really old affirmation. It goes back to the early 1900s, used by a pharmacist turned self improvement teacher. And it goes, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. That's it. And the reason it works is because it doesn't tell you that you're already there. It tells you that you're on your way. That's a statement your nervous system can hold. Now, let me talk about how to actually build an affirmation practice that sticks, because having the right words is only part of it. The other part is consistency and context. Repetition is where the real shift happens. Your brain changes through repeated experience. When you say something over and over, especially with feeling, you're literally laying down new neural pathways. You're rewiring the story your brain defaults to when things get hard. But that takes time. You can't say an affirmation once and expect your whole inner world to reorganize itself. It's like going to the gym. One session doesn't build strength, but showing up again and again, now that changes your body. Same principle. So here's what I recommend. Pick one or two affirmations, not 10, just one or two that actually feel like they're meeting you where you are right now, not where you want to be in 5 years from now. Write them down somewhere you'll actually see them. Your mirror, your phone lock screen, a sticky note on your desk, and then say them out loud when you can. Because research shows that saying things out loud adds another layer of reinforcement. Morning is great, bedtime is great too, or both. And do it for long enough to actually give it a chance. We're talking weeks, not days. And then here's something people leave out. Pair your affirmations with action. Affirmations are not a replacement for doing the work. They're the mindset layer underneath the work. So if you're affirming that you're becoming someone who trusts herself, you also need to do one small thing today that a person who trusts herself would do. The affirmation and the action actually reinforce each other. Together, they're powerful. Alone, either one is incomplete. I want to share something personal here because I think it matters. There was a period in my life where I felt really disconnected from myself. Not in a dramatic way that I could point to and name, just a kind of quiet drift. And I started doing affirmations almost reluctantly, honestly, because I didn't fully believe they would do anything. But I picked one that felt honest, not I am whole and complete, not I love myself unconditionally. I picked something like I am finding my way back to myself. And I said it every morning, sometimes rolled my eyes a little meanwhile, but I kept saying it. And what I noticed, slowly, not all at once, was that it started to shift how I moved through my days. Not because the words were magic, but because I was consistently pointing my attention toward the possibility of finding my way back. And that's where attention goes. And where your attention goes, things grow. That's not me being poetic. It's actually how the brain works. What you focus on consistently, you start to see more of. Affirmations direct your focus, they train your attention, and over time, that changes what you notice, what you believe, and ultimately what you do. So let me bring all this together for you. Affirmations work. The science backs that up clearly. They engage the part of your brain that processes self worth. They reduce the physiological effects of stress, and they've been shown to improve well being and resilience in real, measurable ways. But they work best when you're honest about where you are, not just declarative about where you want to be. The sweet spot is that middle space, the affirmation that tells the truth about your journey while still orienting you toward growth. Not, I am already there, not, I'll never get there, but I am on my way and every day I am moving closer. Start small. One affirmation, one that feels real. Say it out loud. Say it consistently. And pair it with one action that aligns with it and give it time. You are not too far gone for this to work. You're not too skeptical. You're not too anything. You're just someone who hasn't found the right words yet. And now you have a little more to go on. If this resonated with you, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and tell me what's one affirmation that you're going to try this week. I'll be reading the comments, every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on in. There's a lot more where this came from. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.